So, question the first from Facebook, actually. Ariel Rogers asks, what aspect of Wildstar has you guys most excited for launch? What are you the most looking forward to sharing with us players?
So for me, a lot of it is, we showed the story trailer, just before this, which is our sort of first tease of like the serious story behind Wildstar. For those of you new to the game, you've probably seen the videos and stuff we put out, often humorous. We have a world that is filled with psychopathic hamsters and crazy mad zombie robots and giant rock dudes. And the story trailer is a good hint of the actual serious story that underlies all of this. And you may be like, story, who cares about story? That's for those scientist types. It's not for us like cool types who play other sorts of paths. For us, though, that story, it has to actually matter with what goes on in the game. And so that leads us into what we're doing with big-ass updates each month post-launch. This is something that really excites me as much as anything else. I worked on a game called Asheron's Call back in like the year 1903. We drove to work in our Model A's and got off and worked on that game. And that did monthly updates for 15 years straight, where they kept on advancing the story. And we're taking that kind of concept and just doubling down on it. Big features hitting, big new areas hitting, all this to advance that storyline over time.
Sure, so to actually follow up on that, we have another question from Reddit. This is from SwitchV2. Will post-launch episodic content always be there, or will it disappear when the next content comes out?
So this is a clued question. The game that I've been known to play on the side, which is Guild Wars 2, has been doing Living World for a while.
Right.
And they do some permanent updates and a lot of updates that are temporary. You play them for a few weeks and then they go away, and maybe they recur at a later time. For us, we actually do the vast bulk of our updates are intended to be, they're forever. They're in the game and they stay there as new areas to play, especially for solo players consume content. You want to have a lot of stuff for solo players to play over time, and so that means adding it in so they can do it over the long haul.
Right.
Now, and the stuff's temporary, it's because it makes sense to. Oh, you have a cool event that's going to show up, but then you consume it and it goes away. Or holidays are great examples of we have holiday events in the hopper, and those obviously show up for a holiday, and they might reoccur the next year with more cool stuff added, but in general, those tend to be more temporary.
And the cool thing about our holidays, too, is it's not going to be just in PvE content. You're going to notice it in PvP stuff. Jen Gordy maybe can talk about that later. She'll be on the live stream. She's our PvP lead and now group content lead. She recently got a promotion for that, so that's cool. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff, I think, pertaining to that. But something else I wanted to get into, there's another question from Reddit, and this is on the topic of optimization. Joe Bennett asks, do you know if the launch client will have addressed a lot of the performance issues some people are having currently?
Well, I can talk about that somewhat, and reminder that I'm an executive, which means I know, approximately X much of what's going on. But from my exalted view on that subject, we have a couple of things hitting that are either hitting now or in hot fix soon to happen, which is getting SLI working so that if you have multiple video cards, it'll get that sped up. Crossfire as well, support's going in. We have an optimization team that's been hitting up both different areas to speed up individual areas. We are optimizing the UI, which will be in for launch as well, with because that's actually a lot of slowdowns and stuff that people see is from certain inefficient UI mods. And so a lot of those are getting addressed. It's also a good idea to talk on the forums and stuff. I've seen a fair amount of buzz at different times about, some people seem to have no problem at all with game speed and some people have massive problems. And oddly, it is often people with the higher end machines that have the bigger issues. There's actually technical reasons behind that, which I won't dig into because it probably gets mildly boring, but maybe I'll answer it in more detail on the AMA later. And the other half of that is making sure you run on the low end machines well. And so it's a mix. We read our data basically each week, seeing how many people are having problems, and performance is an area that we always keep an eye on. So there are a couple of fixes that are in line for launch. I don't guarantee perfection because I don't know if we've talked about them publicly, but at Carbine we have our sort of corporate values up on the wall, and the number one at the top is no bullshit. Enron had their number one corporate value was integrity. Ours is no bullshit, and hopefully we stick to that better than Enron did with theirs.
Hopefully we don't get compared to Enron, by the way, at any point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm just saying, let's not throw those comparisons out there, streamers and such. Hey, anyway.
Hey, it's on the internet, it'll disappear.
It'll be fine. Nobody will remember. So I've got another question for you, Gaff. Are you going to support solo players as much as party dudes? This comes from Roshala himself.
Dude, party dudes.
On the Twitters.
So grand question. Yeah, here's stats and figures and whatnot. Something around 65% of people tend to play MMOs in our market, mostly single player, massively single player games. You want to show off in front of people, but people are, they're kind of jerks, and so you don't want to hang out near them, and we understand that. And then maybe you get lured over time into PvP, maybe you get lured over time into dungeons, maybe you get lured over time into raiding, that kind of stuff. But most people actually play largely solo player, or they want to have a good time near people. Yeah. So our answer for this is put in a couple of 100 hours of content to do for solo players. All that outdoor world stuff you see is intended largely for solo players, but it's got to be fun and interesting and cool if you're playing it with one of your friends or if you're playing it in a sort of small group. Right. And so we did a couple of things to add to that, just recently, that both raises the challenge level outdoors and also lets you do small group content outdoors. We put in, obviously, the XP bar change so that most of the quests count down by how much can you fill the XP bar. And now we've seeded the world with monsters that are harder. So if you do them in a group, you take out a massive group monster and you do it in even extra challenge by doing it solo or with a couple of people, you can fill up like half a quest bar by doing one tough monster.
Right.
So that keeps the world loaded up for the small group, but that stuff is entirely, in general, is aimed towards solo players.
And a lot of this, by the way, was also coming from beta feedback. A lot of people were saying, how do we improve, the questing experience? How do I get through stuff faster? We're all about rewarding the optimal players. The people that do paths, challenges, and quests, kind of simultaneously. You'll notice that those link up really well. Coupled with that, you add in these hardcore monsters. So if you're not about like sitting around and farming a bunch of little creatures, go for the big badass one, and you can level faster.
Well, it's cool because if you're a noob, you farm the lobby stuff that's nearby, a couple of easy clusters, and you fill up your bar slowly but cautiously.
Right.
If you're hardcore, then you go on in and you take out the toughest stuff you can as fast as you can and do it up. So in the updates that we have coming up, our first drop post-launch is aimed largely at solo players. It's advancing the world story along and sort of introducing all these, all the characters and stuff that as you've leveled up, we've introduced. Now it's time to pay that off with the actual story moving forward.
And what's cool is we're dropping an entire zone in month 1. Like an entire zone's worth of content. And the cool thing I think that we're doing and focusing on is over the span of about a year and a half, we're launching effectively an expansion's worth of content in that time, rather than, hey guys, wait around for a year and a half, here's a lot of stuff. It's going to be, here's some more, here's some more, here's some more, regularly kind of coming in.
And to riff on that theme, one of the things we just did that's interesting is we've just set up our team for live development. So separate from, in development, normally you're just churning stuff out, getting ready for launch. Well, over the last couple of months, we've been switching into a form ready for live, and this means taking about half the team. They're listening to feedback. They're going, okay, hey, feedback's coming in, or we're reading our death maps and stuff. Too many people are dying in this area. These quests feel too grindy in this area. Let's go back and turn whatever the worst area is that's being reported into the best area. Let's add a new mechanic in there. Let's add, all the various things we do environmentally. Let's add more interesting monsters. Let's add more interesting quests. Tune up the worst area at any given time. The second group is going down to March and really doing all this new content that is added to the game, which is expanding the world story along. And so the goal is have about a 50-50 split. Not that we can't have people working on story come over if we have something, oh man, we got to fix X, Y, or Z in this area. But you got to have that planning laid out. In an MMO, if you don't have stuff in the hopper, you are screwed. Because we're dropping a zone of content just in the first month, but it's not like, oh, that's a zone that, we goofed up and didn't have it in for launch. No, we've mapped out about the next 16 updates worth of large-scale content, be that new battlegrounds, be that new zones, new areas, so that we have a large amount of high-end stuff hitting regularly.
And a lot of that is, 60%, 70%, 80% done, and if not done already. So, we're trying to come at this from a production standpoint of let's get all this stuff in and have it mapped out, so it wasn't just like, you've seen other MMOs launch, and then they're like, oh crap, we need things to do for endgame. So they kind of scramble and hire more people and get it done. That's something that we've been doing regularly.
If you have like tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars you want to set on fire, the best way to do it is go make an MMO and then forget to do that whole Elder Game thing and try to patch it in post-launch. Does not work. We've seen lots of corpses by the wayside over the past 5 years of trying to do that, and it's very tough to do. You need to have that stuff in the hopper early or you're screwed. You can't do it in emergency reaction fashion.
Very true.
That's our philosophy.
Yeah. So let's take another, well, actually I wanted to make a note really quick. So we have our super genius programmer, Lauren McQuaid, who has been working on some stuff for launch. And there's been 40 changes, I think, that he's going to get in by launch that are helping out with optimization. So Really some big stuff coming in. You know, we say the devs are listening pretty regularly. I think that's very accurate. So we hear your optimization concerns on some things, and we're working on that right now. So another question from Reddit. Are there any plans or hopes to bring the IP to other media, such as web, TV series, books, comics, etc.?
So we've done slightly some webcomic stuff, which I think has been pretty cool. But I'd say there's more hopes than plans. We have been focused like a laser on, we want to have a great game at launch, and then we want to make sure that we have our butts covered in terms of not just having a cool game to start with, but then a cool game that gets better on a monthly basis thereafter, in a semi-calm and coordinated fashion, and in a semi-chaotic and running around like idiots fashion.
That's how you make good games.
Yeah, it's worked for us, so.
Yeah. So let's take another question. This is from Olaf4862. Will you be iterating on UI and in-game element designs after launch based on feedback?
Well, we really think listening to feedback is one of the worst things you can do as a developer. It's all about sticking to your vision regardless of it works or not.
Why do that?
I know,
Why
exactly. So yes, we're going to change it, things post-launch. We just did a major overhaul 2 months ago, some crazy time frame like that, of really the whole UI moving into the new mode.
Yeah.
We do that in part because we are mildly insane, and in part because it's responding to that feedback. And it's cool that we have a moddable UI, it's cool that players can make their own mods for this sort of stuff, but it's not cool if we depend on them to do all the good stuff for us. And so, not that we're not above, cribbing off the kind of cool ideas that come out of our fans occasionally from time to time in terms of UI mods, but we're actually overhauling all sorts of stuff. We have sort of a prioritized list that we do in terms of hitting UI after UI after UI, and tuning them up, responding to feedback, making them faster, optimizing them, all that kind of stuff. And so, yes, there's definitely a bunch of changes in the hopper planned for that, and some will be unplanned because people say, oh, hey, this thing sucks, go make it better, and we tend to respond to that.
React to it. So I don't want to go telling tales out of school, but Tony Ray, our live stream host, is going to be hosting some stuff next week, I believe, on some UI add-ons and things like that. So, the week after, sorry. We'll be talking with John Wiesman, who is the most pleasant man at Carbine Studios.
Yes, famous for it.
Yes, famous for his pleasantness. So we'll talk with him on the live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get to hear more about user UI and modding UI as well. So let's take some more questions from bad_wizard. If you had to describe the game in one unexpected sentence, what would you say? Hashtag Devs Unleashed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hashtag Devs Unleashed. If I describe the game in one unexpected sentence, I would say psychopathic hamsters teamed up with...
sorry, your order of Diet Coke is here. It's
lovely.
from David Bass. By the way, David Bass, stay here for a second. This is Bass's last day, by the way.
We love us some Bass.
So
I'm too tall for the live stream.
There you go.
Everybody's there. I don't know if the mic can pick you up or anything.
I'll talk into
There we go.
Gaffney's
This
chest.
is really
Wow.
awkward.
I guess today's the day for sexual harassment.
That just happened.
There's one day to do it. This is today.
By the way, a quote that needs to go on the box. I just talked into Gaffney's chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. That's
definitely.
So, dude, thank you for the delivery for Gaff.
No problem. I have another one coming in a couple minutes because I know you're
that's
going to
good.
finish this one pretty quickly.
This will be half an hour's worth. So.
Y'all can't see this, but off camera, I actually have 3 Diet Cokes open over here.
I was going to see if we could like build you a pyramid right here.
Well, this is like this is for my Mark Rubio moment where I can lunge across and just start drinking.
drink. Like you didn't even finish.
No, I opened them so I wouldn't have to do it on camera, but you've ruined all that now.
But this is oh man.
So here's the trick. There's this thing called crunch that you get into later in the development cycle, or depending if you're us, early in the development cycle, and then continue it to later. And caffeine is an excellent substitute for sleep. And so this is my
Not for
precious.
sanity, though. Just want to point that out.
Oh, no, it's okay. When this becomes an incoherent ramble, which I think it started about 5 minutes ago, this is why. So this is not product placement.
I expect as the stream goes on that we just won't be able to see you at a certain point.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to take Crank 2.0 caffeinated spring water, and then you pour that in the top of the coffee machine, and you brew coffee out of caffeinated spring water.
That sounds disgusting.
No, because the best part is you take that and you pour it back into the top of the coffee machine again, and it comes out like this sludge, like pure caffeinated sludge. And then you can just put your hands on the keyboard and your fingers sort of dance into code.
This is weirding
I'm
me
so
out.
sorry I came here.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy the rest of the stream, guys.
And best of luck, David Bass, in your future.
Bye, everybody. Where's the camera? Bye, everybody. No, he's gonna keep this here.
Yeah, keep that.
He's gonna keep this here. Okay.
All right. So anyway, now that our Diet Coke plug is in, let's answer some more questions. So from Reddit.
Actually, can I back up one before we hit that?
Yeah, sure.
I've been asked, what the hell is the point of open beta? And why are we doing open beta?
Sure.
So let me back up for 1 second to talk about A, why we're doing it, and then B, what we hope to get out of it. And thus also why we're covering it today. And that's this. And part of the reason that question comes up is because few games have had the, shall we say, corporate will and or balls to be able to go out there and put your game out for free, let people get into it. Do you like it? Do you not? Form an intelligent decision, pre-launch. Do it without NDA, do all that kind of stuff. And so our goal really is to, we think that good games sell. We think that if you get in a game and you like it, we poll everybody who enters the game and we say, okay, did you have fun? Did you not have fun? All that kind of stuff. And so and some of that is, comes out of the stats. We just had in the last day, since the last round of beta, we've had 1.9 million new characters created, which is kind of cool. That gives us stats. That lets us find out what kind of things people like, what they don't like. And even now, we adjust stuff based on how well that works. We poll people as they go in the game. Last couple 100,000 people entering the game. We say, did you have fun? Did the game perform well or not for you? So we can track stats on that kind of stuff. And we also ask, hey, how likely are you to buy the game? And the stats help us. They let us know what the heck's actually going on in the game. The fun, hey, 1 to 5, what's the fun rating? Right now we're running about 51%, 5 out of 5 for fun. We're running about 64% people saying 5 out of 5 for wanting to buy it. Number 2 answers for both is 4. Number of people who say 1 or a 2 out of 5, like, sucks. Weirdly low because, you guys know, you're MMO gamers. People are jaded, they're bored, and they're all that kind of stuff. So the fact that we run 2-3% for 1s and 2s out of the fun rating is bizarre. That kind of shouldn't happen on this earth. But even those people give us information because we track where people go in, we track how far they get, we track where they drop out, where they stop playing, where they say, or if they give feedback on the individual quests and say this is too grindy, oh hey, you need more, this area punched up, all that stuff, we feed on it and we thrive on it. So that's why to do an open beta. A, let people get in there, judge the game for themselves. If we're full of crap up here, if we are breaking our #1 rule of no bullshit, well, prove us wrong. Get in there, go play the game, and then go get on the interwebs and say, hey, this sucks and here's why. And you may or may not get an intelligent response to that because we're self-aware. We know where we want to improve things and where we don't. And your feedback helps guide that because when you've been working on the game for 4 or 5 years, you can get a biased opinion on it too.
Forest from the trees, kind of hard to tell sometimes. So one thing, I actually wanted to answer the question that the gentleman had before we got our Diet Coke
oh yes, the
supply drop. So, sentence to describe it unexpectedly. Wildstar is an action combat MMO with huge amounts of personality, a great housing system, and little gerbils that like making death machines. There you go.
Like it.
Okay, so next question. This is from Reddit. What was the biggest obstacle that you guys had to overcome during the development of this game? Man, that's a massive question.
Jesus, yeah. This week, or in the last month, or in the last year?
I'm going to give you a very honest answer on this. There was a point in time where we were making a game that I don't think anybody in the building liked. And at one point we all kind of had to sit down and go like, is this the game that we want to make? And
that's true.
We kind of had to make some very rough decisions and kind of say, no, this is not the typical game that we want to make. We want to make something that's a lot more fun, that we enjoy playing. And that took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I think that was probably the most difficult thing that we had to go through to kind of establish. This was like before Wildstar was Wildstar.
Yeah. We originally called the game Sanctuary. And then we were briefly Paradox, and then we were briefly Influx. And so, hey, why do you have this kind of issue? Here, I'll give the no bullshit answer. Go figure. Can I speak this way on the internet?
You can. It's okay.
Ooh, it's cool. It's not like it's not just basic cable. It's it's like we're on HBO.
It is.
When the team started, the original crew of people who started Carbine were about 20 of the seniors and the leads off of the World of Warcraft team. And they'd been crunching for about 6 years on WoW, and so they came to form a new company with like 2 very concrete visions. Vision number 1 is, we just crunched for 6 years on World of Warcraft, we're going to do any damn thing but World of Warcraft. And the other sort of mentality, shared in some cases by the same people, was, well, WoW is okay, but now we want to go do that game and do it right. And so both of those are enviable goals, and both of those, I think you can see parts of that in Wildstar, all this time later, because those are two things that we have tried to do. We've tried to take good things from the past and do them better, and we've also tried to do brand new stuff, the war plots, the crazy combat, the telegraphs, the housing, all that kind of stuff, and do it better. And do stuff that hasn't been done before. And so that mix, I think, is in the game today. And so that is both the biggest development challenge, but it's also, I think, been one of the strengths, too, is having that vision be shaped eventually into a coherent game, filled with psychopathic gerbils.
Yeah, like we all get along really well, but then there's also meetings where we hate the hell out of each other. So
yeah, I'd say so.
But that's ultimately what creates a good game. I think out of that conflict, you can kind of point out weaknesses and go through that stuff. Anyway, well, let's move on to the next question. So, Johnny Dice from Twitch, that's an awesome name. When will we get a third Battleground? So we'll talk about this more with Jen Gordy, but we've been working on a lot of stuff, as we've been sort of launching things. PvP has been in a pretty good state for a while, so we've been working on arenas, we've been working on Battlegrounds, and we've been testing like crazy internally. And I'm going to give you another hint at something. If you look at, there was a dev speak on PvP. If you look at the matchmaking finder, the UI in it, there's a name in there. Then that's actually the next PvP content, I believe, that will be coming out. So.
Yeah, people are busy trying to data mine stuff too, but luckily we change our minds on stuff enough that even data mining has a limited effect on what actually ends up in the game. So
gotcha.
It's either our clever strategy to prevent data mining, or it's possible that we figure out stuff as we go along.
Or we're insane. Yeah, one of the two. So let's look at Twitter once more from Jack R. Lawless. That's
also
one. Yeah, it's a cowboy name, I would say. Will there be more European English realms on release day?
So one of the things that we tune through the beta process is seeing how many people go to which kinds of servers, and that'll help us redirect stuff as we get near to launch. Obviously, we were at, like 4 running servers 3 days ago. Right now, we have 18 up and running. So we have been expanding to meet demands, obviously, of open beta and all that good kind of stuff. And exactly what the breakdown is, there is probably some tweaking of that between now and launch. UK is historically a bit of a smaller market than, say, Germany. In the past rounds of MMO development, we've appealed pretty well over there, I'd say. We've had a very active community coming out of the UK. And so we'll kind of see. That's something we'll play by ear. It's tough to give a real answer on that because some of that's going to be dictated by, hey, what do players do and what do we react to?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a question from Twitch, from Metaspiral. Will the dev streams continue after launch?
So dev speaks for sure are going to continue on because we do these things called content drops, and they are hopefully ginormous, and hopefully they are on a regular basis. But we actually need to make sure they are right. So exact timing, I'm sure, will be tweaked by this little thing called reality that gets in the way of development schedules all the time. Frosty, as our producer, can tell you about reality and schedules, meeting and fighting in the middle.
Yes.
So in terms of streams, I think we're very likely to continue that post-launch. I haven't heard the exact plan on it. Do you have a comment on that?
So Tony Ray, off screen. In fact, let's cut to the awesome camera that we have set up here, and we can see the room, the dark room, apparently.
It's pretty dark. Pretty dark. Can you see my beautiful face?
Apparently, it got a little too dark in here for that.
We have faces for radio anyway, so
if
it's
you
okay.
can see my beautiful face, that's all I care about.
Not presently, but go ahead.
Even if you can't, I'll explain the streaming schedule real quick. So this has not been released yet. So this is an exclusive just for you, right here from our social media takeover pit here in the studio. Yes, we have our team here. We're doing an awesome job. So we're going to be streaming. Oh boy, I'm about to move.
Tony thinks he's speaking to a camera, but our camera keeps going dark whenever we go to it, which, for those of you at home, is probably a net win for our viewing audience. You want to swing around and just...
How dare you? How dare you? I think I can
just come on,
maybe make it
I have also wanted to say my entire life, let's go to live to the show floor.
Okay,
and,
here we go. Here we go.
It just messed up.
What's up, guys?
It's Tony.
Hey,
so
how's it going?
Live stream.
Ooh, soda.
Yeah.
Okay, so live streaming. We're gonna have a. This is so professional, dude. We're gonna have a live stream
Toad's Pro
every Tuesday and Friday. Our Tuesday show is gonna be called the Nexus Report, and that's gonna be a little bit more with what you're familiar with, as far as like an update on the game, what we're doing, special release content. So it's gonna be a very well-produced show. You're gonna have a lot of fun with it. And it's gonna be hosted by myself and Frost. On Fridays, we're going to have a show called Wildstar Weekly, and that's going to be more of a very casual hangout style of show.
Pants optional.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Pants optional.
I was told
Pants,
this was
oh,
probably
pants
transoptional.
definitely. I thought that kind of went without
Is
saying.
a given? Yeah, sorry.
I'm not wearing pants now. Is that a problem?
Don't lie.
Okay, I'm lying. I'm clearly wearing pants. So that's going to be every Friday, and it's going to be a much more casual hangout. We're literally just going to play the game, run through Nexus, doing community challenges. It's going to be pretty awesome. So that is our live streaming schedule. We also have a special video release every Wednesday, and that I'm actually going to keep a little closer to the chest.
Whoa.
We have our first one dropping next Wednesday. I just finished editing it last night. It's a beauty. Can't wait.
Wow, you go, girl.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
Stop it.
All right. So anyway, fantastic. So by the way, if you're just joining us, we're having this live stream right now. Oh, and hey, look, the camera works. All right, cool. So we can see everybody.
Perfect.
This is, we got the massive social media pit there. It's all right there. The reason that we're doing all this, by the way, is because we're in open beta right now. Go check out wildstar-online.com, and you can go to the beta page. You can sign up. You can get a key immediately, and you can check out the game. We've been saying a lot of stuff. You know, of course, it's our job to talk about how great the game is, and of course, we're going to say it's great because we're working on it. We love the game. But why don't you get in there and try it out yourself? You know, and if you're the type of person that's like, man, I don't know, the graphics look a little cartoony, get into a dungeon, and then tell me how cartoony and kid-like this game is, because you'll get wrecked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, if you played in past betas, thank you, because we needed your data. We needed to, whether or not you gave us actual feedback, we needed to find out where you're dying and all that sort of good stuff. For those of you who've been playing for a while, you know, we've been doing big updates monthly now for the last 6 months worth of beta, where we do 92 pages of patch notes, 73 pages of patch notes, on a monthly basis to churn as much stuff in as possible. To be able to make sure that A, we're responding to feedback, B, we put everything in the game for launch we want in for launch, but also it's just making sure that the game gets better on a monthly basis. And so if you had an issue 2 months ago, pop in the game, see if it's there now, and if so, get on the interwebs and let us know, because we do not promise perfection, we just promise it gets better every month.
Yeah, so we're definitely working on that stuff right now. And also, if you log in now, there are items that you can get that you can't get post-launch. So we have these things called boom boxes, where you kind of get to roll on really rare items like mounts and you know, vanity items, housing items, things like that. But then we also have, if you pre-order, you can get a rocket house, which is freaking awesome, and it's only available if you pre-order the game. This isn't something we're going to have post-launch. So if you're going to get it, you pre-order now. It's really going to work out. You also get a 3-day head start. You also get to get a lot of other costume items. There's just a ton of stuff that you can check out, again, by going to wildstar-online.com and check out the game. Play the beta right now, please. That's why we're doing this.
You're allowed to love it, you're allowed to hate it, but let us know.
When you're playing these games, you can play solo, but I will say, when you're playing a game in general, if you have friends playing with you, it makes your gaming experience that much better. You know, like it really, you can have like a terrible game and then have your buddy playing with you, and the game gets like 10% better because you're playing with your buddy. At least you're both going like, this is crap, right? And then you can come up with ways to say that it's crap in funnier ways. It makes your experience actually better. Luckily with Wildstar, we have a pretty good game.
Yeah,
and so when you group up, it actually makes it that much better.
This is one of the reasons why, you know, we're not idiots, or not most of the time, and so it's one of the reasons we cram guest passes, friend passes into the box, no matter what kind of box you buy, because your buddy should come in and play too. Because if they like it, you're going to have a better time, they're going to have a better time. It's good for you, it's good for us, it makes our CFO happy.
You also level faster too when you're grouping and stuff.
That's true. We try to keep that a little balanced so that you're not trivializing it all, but yeah, it's intended to be a net speed up.
Yeah. So one of the questions that we got from Twitch, and this is always one that we have to get, and you'll make some people happy with this, and you'll make other people not so happy. Will the game be free to play? Is the question. Let's talk about cred a little bit, because in a sense we can almost make it that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what cred is and how players can play the game for free, basically.
Okay. Well, you always got to buy a box. So the short answer on is it free to play? No. You got to pony up. You were talking in Europe the other day. Actually, I thought you had a really good analogy to this, which is, you know, when people ask, hey, why do you do a subscription? And in our case, we do both subscription and cred. Why do it? And you know, HBO was I think a very valid comparison, where if you have premium content, if you like Game of Thrones, if you like, you know, True Detective, the people are, I think, in general willing to pay for that. And so we embrace that where necessary. And part of the reasons that we're doing big monthly updates is because you get a much better idea, I think, of, hey, what exactly does your sub buy you? But if you think subs just suck, okay, we got something for you, which is CRAD. This is not dissimilar to like Terra did a system called Chrono Scrolls. Eve's done a system called Plex for a lot of years. But the concept is that you got, let's take two kinds of players. This is not all players, but this is definitely two kinds. You got your player who has no time. They just want to play the game as efficiently as possible. But they have, let's say, actual real world money. We'll call these people with, say, jobs and families and stuff. And then you have people who they have lots of time to play the game, but they don't have as much cash. Cash means much more to them. And even though, hey, it's 15 bucks a month, it's the price of a movie, not even with like a Coke or anymore, or a Diet Coke, it's still, it's money. We acknowledge it. If it weren't money, we wouldn't collect it, because, you know, we like money too. If you are a player who has lots of time, but not a lot of cash, we let these two players trade. The guy who has the job, let's call him, and family and all that stuff, he can go off, buy a cred from us, and then trade it to another player for their gold pieces. And so the guy who is maybe a student, or maybe just doesn't want to blow his money, hey, we got your back. And so there's this other guy. He buys the cred from that person, cashes it in, that he can pay off his monthly sub. And so what's cool about this is a couple of things. First of all, if you're a gold farmer, it sucks to be you, because there's now a legal way to get money, gold pieces in game. And that is buy a cred from us, trade it to another player. We're not just going to hand out gold pieces, but the free market will, where you can trade those back and forth. And gold farmers don't give a crap about cred. They're all paying on stolen credit cards already. They don't pay anything. You know, all they're doing is busy raising everybody's fees. And so you get player A who's happy because they get gold pieces from another player. Player B's happy because they actually are able to trade their in-game time, never pay a sub, just trade in-game gold pieces that they earn to the other guy for a cred. It pisses off the gold farmers. It makes our CFO do a little happy dance because everybody's actually paying for the sub. They're paying for the content teams. They're working on churning out new stuff. They're paying for servers. They're paying for bandwidth. They're paying for all that kind of stuff. So life's good.
Yeah, I think, you know, TLDR on that, you basically pay for your in-game subscription with in-game money split out. So we can come down here and take some quests, talk to our Granite compadre here. And the cool thing here, we have this what happened. And so if you're the type of person that just absolutely loves story and you want to know more about what's going on, we have the more info button here.
Right.
So I can see, you know, he'll give me more of a background on what's happening. So lore nuts, go nuts.
Yeah, and if you don't want any of that, you just click on the button real fast. These are Twitter length, you know, informational blurbs. So it's like you go up to this guy and you're like, he's like, kill robots. Now, if you want to know what happened, he goes into greater detail. But, you know, for some people, it's just not for them.
Right, sure. Legacy454 from Twitch asks, with rating being one of the most important aspects to any MMO, will there ever be any rating at all for all average Joe players?
Yeah, average Joe players, they can raid. It's called quests. See, what ends up happening is...
I don't think that's how that works. I think raids and quests are different.
I'm just joshing.
All
Listen,
right.
there is a ton of stuff to do in Wildstar, right? We didn't just say, okay, we're going to hit the 1% and we're only going to do it for raiding, because we did it for PvP as well. War plots is the 1%er kind of stuff. For anybody who thinks they're badass at PvP, well, try 40v40 with an entire war plot that you get to build up using our proprietary and best housing tech on the planet Earth.
Oh man, hyperbole.
Now, I'm the king. So what ends up happening, very simply, is for PvE players, just solo PvE players, what you're going to get to do is we have post-cap play spaces, which are entire like tracks, zones worth of content that are all about like evolving the story of what's happening kind of in the periphery of Nexus. You know, we have new zones. In the first patch, we are going to have a new zone and I believe a new PCP. And correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, the first one we are going to have a new PCP.
Right. So
by the way, what's a PCP for people that don't know?
Again, it's what we refer to as it's a post-cap play space. It's for level 50s to get in there, daily quests, weekly quests, you know, rep grinds, you know, but tons of public events, tons of things to explore and find, path content, all this great stuff. So it's not that you hit 50 with your character and you're like, oh crap, now I got to go back and start all over again playing the other faction, or, you know, if you want to do that, go nuts. But if you don't want to do that and you want to still, you know, you got a kick-ass mount, you got all this stuff that you want to keep playing and evolving and getting better loot, better gear, we're going to keep putting out content. It's the value that I try to talk about.
Right, yeah. I mean, we were saying before, earlier when Gaff was on, that we're effectively releasing a expansion's worth of content.
Over the first year, absolutely.
Over the first year. It's just part of your subscription, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of
Sorry,
like
buddy.
when you referred to it as kind of HBO-like.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. It was by the way, it was a very subtle way to talk about it. It shocked me. I
know.
didn't
But I
honestly
said
believe
something
you could do that.
that was actually good. Yay.
Well, that it wasn't steeped in heavy metal and
yeah, I do that from time to time.
ridiculousness.
So, very cool. Let's go into the next question. This is from #DevsUnleashed from DarkWolf660. About how many endgame raids and dungeons are there?
There are.
We can tell you exactly how many.
Well,
not about
for
how
raids for sure. We have a 20-man and a 40-man. And if anyone is just tuning in and they don't know, yes, we are doing 40-man raids. Badass gear and I would say a lot of very technical, a lot of very strategic battles, right? There's a lot of strategy. Plus, our action combat's no joke. It's not going to be standing in the corner, don't hit the red stuff. This is definitely going to be, it's pretty elite, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the veteran dungeons alone, let alone the raids.
No, but even post-launch, just get to that point, post-launch, we already have, more raids planned, and people are working on them as we speak for post-launch. We have a team of people, tons and tons and tons of teams, but we have a team of people that are working on the live game, and we have a ton of people working on post-launch. Because again, like Gaffney said, like I've said before, it's the $15 a month is not for the pleasure of being able to log into our servers. It is for you to be able to get new content, right? New content. That's what people want.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just honestly don't understand why no one's thought of doing that before.
I think it's something you learn over time, and I think that's a strength of ours. That was a big badass monster, by the way.
See how right it was? And
Yeah.
it took all those guys to bring it down.
Yeah, that was part of what we were talking about earlier, putting these crazy monsters in here and fighting them with lots of people. And notice my XP that went up. Pretty damn good.
Number two.
You want number two? Okay. Yeah. This is from @Gimme. Who knows? Was Gaff really wearing a jacket and cargo shorts? #priceless. #DevsUnleashed.
If somebody, dear Lord, if someone out there in the world has a screen grab of that, please post that far and
Post
wide.
it.
@DapperDonatelli on Twitter. I will retweet it to everyone.
The thing was,
mother.
I saw that. Like, he sat down, and I'm like, those cargo shorts with
Hey,
the
look,
jacket.
all I'm saying is I'm just happy that Gaffer was wearing pants.
He wasn't, though. He wasn't. Technically speaking, those were shorts.
I mean, in the 18th century kind of short pants style.
I could see where your vernacular would lead us to that. Okay. So, yeah, short pants. We're all proud of Gaff.
Yes.
And
well,
done.
that's what I'm saying. He's the boss, so we got to make, he's bringing it.
Right.
Peanut Gallery. Can we put in a buff, like a decor piece that has a buff that allows you to give like little speed bursts? Is that possible? But we could do it.
What you're seeing right now is
we're actually designing right now.
it's called
From your
feature
open
creep.
beta.
You're
it's
welcome.
feature creep.
Yeah.
And the producers love it.
No, we don't. Oh.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. See, I don't.
So what ends up happening is what we're going to do now is we're going to we'll give players decor items and we'll let you go faster through your little things you make. See?
So you can make a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but
Hey, somebody write that down.
quickly.
You got that?
Somebody write it down.
Okay.
Can you give us any spoilers for post-launch content?
Can I?
Oh man.
What a question.
What
of
a
course
setup.
I can.
Yeah. We've got a lot of stuff.
This is ultimately why you haven't seen me doing these things or being active on Twitter. I was told to shut the F up about this stuff, so I have. And I've also said not to use the F word. So
Shut the
that's what
front
you get.
door is what they said.
So post-launch, we have a zone, and that zone's called Blighthaven, and that's coming out. It's patch 1. You heard it here first. Well, actually, tweeted it earlier, but and we also have a post-cap play space. It's not like I expect everyone to be blown all the way through 50, but if you do, the expectation you should have as a customer for an MMO in 2014 is that we have content. You hit cap, we have content. You hit cap, we have content. You want more stuff, we give you more stuff. You're paying us a fee so we can produce that content for you.
Yeah. So I agree. So the artifacts, let's talk about those for a little bit. This is for more
Avitus?
hardcore.
Only Avitus, the creature to end all creatures at the end of the raid to end all raids in MMOs.
Yeah, there's a spoiler for you. So the last boss is named Avitus.
Did we just talk about that?
Yeah, whoa, you just said Avitus.
Crap.
IRL. Well done. So
I will.
Avitus. Here's let me tell you guys something.
Hey, you asked? It's Unleashed, right?
Yeah, let me tell you
Where's
guys something.
the PR guy?
If
Who's
you-
supposed to stop me?
If you
I've been
want
drinking.
things ruined, Mike Donatelli is your man.
Coke Zero.
Talk to like, hey, I want to reveal terrible and horrible things. You need to calm down with that Coke Zero, man. This is getting ridiculous. So, still going through stuff. We're having a good time. I gotta turn in this quest here.
Come on, more questions. Come on.
Yeah,
Internet,
we
let's
gotta
go.
we gotta get some more questions, guys. By the way, contact us. Oh no. Oh yeah, it's happening, guys.
I'm just gonna wait just in case.
All
you
right.
know, it's-
Yeah. Oh
Fair
no,
enough.
dude. Why don't you come more on stream because we can't see you on there. We've got Tony ready to go with the duct tape for this man's face if he will not shut the front door on ridiculous secrets and what have you.
What is wrong with you?
It's a good question.
Oh crap! I'm getting a phone call right now. Okay.
It's probably
I should call-
from our PR department going,
Oh,
please get
hey,
Mike
hold on.
to shut up.
It's Lincoln. Hey, Lincoln. How's it going, buddy?
That's our PR guy, by the way. He's probably yelling at him right now.
This is our PR guy, everybody. Everybody say hi to Lincoln.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Internet says hi. Hey,
What's going on, buddy? You know I'm on camera, right?
this is super professional, by the way.
He hung up on me. What the?
Awesome. So by the way, there's like 4 more hours of this, so get excited, guys. Will the raids be accessible for people who don't have 40 people to call on?
Why don't you?
So here's the thing. No, probably not. You're going to want to get in a group. If you try to pug a raid, it's just not going to work out well for you.
Well, especially since we don't allow you to. But the issue here being is, you know, getting the game, we have a lot of group content to start you off, right? If you're new to raiding, right, the idea here is you'll play our group content. You'll get in the adventures. You'll get in the dungeons. You know, adventures are kind of like a group choose your own adventure kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You go into ship hand missions. There's no lack of group content, right? So what ends up happening is you're going to learn how the game works. You know, our combat is I think pretty advanced, so you're going to need a little bit more practice at it. You can't just jump in it, you know. But we slow roll you up to it, so you should be all right. And when after you group for a while and you group in 5-man groups, then you know. Try the other stuff. Try the dungeons, right? Try then hit the 20-man, 40-man. It's all progression. You know, don't worry, you'll figure it out, Fronash.
You'll be okay. It's just a lot of work, and I'd recommend getting in with a guild. It's more fun usually too. MMOs are massive multiplayer online games. It's fun to play
more
with
fun
more
with people.
Yeah, it's true. What inspired you to make Wildstar?
Well, you know, when I made Wildstar,
Oh, please! It was just Mike Donatelli, not the countless other people that are in this room right now
No, not at
answering
all.
your questions on social media. Just Mike Donatelli. So what inspired you to make Wildstar, Mike?
my version, Firefly.
Firefly? Okay.
Was the thing that I was like, man, we can really turn this game into that style of humor, and you know, that was my favorite.
Yeah. So you know, I think really though the answer to that from multiple people's perspective is we wanted to make an MMO that was
The best MMO.
yeah the best MMO possible. I mean, we were trying to make stuff. Oh, dude, I think we're in the middle of the holdout.
Oh, crap.
This is cool. So we wanted to
think
make
it's the end.
something with combat that really was dynamic and interesting and made you move around and double jump and sprint and dash, and you know, made things kind of move. And you'll notice that a lot of our stuff too is like really over the top animations and has awesome effects, and this is like fun
I would say
to
the best
watch.
animations in the industry. I don't think you can argue that. And
Yeah.
the art is amazing, like bar none. Prove me wrong. Get an open beta. Play the open beta. Bar none. Prove me wrong. Get an open beta. Play the open beta. Play level 20. That way you get a good feeling of all the different kind of content, because you know, adventures come online, the teens, dungeons come online. 20. You 17 you can get in it, but 20 is probably better for the new people new to the telegraph system. But I'm telling you,
Yeah.
get in the game. Prove me wrong.
From Candy Lewis, question: are deluxe items like mounts, account-wise, or is the hoverboard for one character only?
Everyone turns and looks at me.
I'm the one asking a question, dude.
It's an account. It's an account. Yeah, okay. It's an account-wide unlock for you to get all these things.
So yeah, huzzah! Well done, Mike Donatelli. Everybody in the room.
Everyone is now literally
Proud.
folks, everyone is terrified that I'm going to say something. Like
Yeah,
everyone's
dude.
like,
He's
they're putting messages on here. Watch your mouth. I got designers out there. You know.
He's a wild card.
Yeah, it's
Mike
crazy.
Donatelli.
He's unleashed.
I guarantee you I'll never be able to do this again.
No, probably not. It's funny, like, we have this selective memory. We're like, Donatelli hasn't done anything in a while. Why is that? We should put him on camera.
I posted that this was a giant mistake.
Yeah, and then what happens? You know, we get you on, and then you say something ridiculously terrible.
listens.
And then on top of that, we go, oh man, we'll never do that again. And 6 months later, you're like Arby's. Like, you eat Arby's, and you're like, oh, that was awful. I'll never do this again.
What, like the
and then,
Jamocha shake is not the best shake?
well, but then you eat it, and you're like, ugh, why did I do this? And then 6 months later, you're like, I could eat Arby's right now.
No, a Jamocha shake and a Big Montana. That's what you want.
God, I love it. That's your jam too. We're gonna go to Arby's later. Who's interested? That's the
That's
Mike
me,
Donatelli.
by the way. That's the Frost version of me. Just
I
so
like
you
to
all know.
I like to eat Jamocha shakes and and play Wildstar. That's my thing.
I do like to play Wildstar, and if you can find me, look for anybody. Get into open beta, pick any server. CRB is the tag. They are people that are working on the game and playing it right now. Go talk to them. You know, if you could find them in the PvP server, kill them. You know.
Hey,
good
so
stuff.
from Twitch, Raw RTT asks, "Hey Mike, should we pre-order or not?"
Give me a minute.
Spoiler
You should
alert.
definitely pre-order this game. No, you know what? Don't pre-order it. Buy it right now. Why wait? Take my word for it, but if you don't take my word for it, get in the game, play open beta, and then pre-order.
Mike Arby's Donatelli wants you to know that you should pre-order the game right now.
At Dapper Donatelli, if you want to talk about Arby's.
Yeah.
I will be sharing pictures later.
Oh God, dude, we will go to Arby's, and I will not eat a thing there. I'm gonna point that out.
You don't
Arby's
have
pretty
you
much
don't have
hates
the
my
most
guts now,
metal
though.
of taste.
I know
as
the
far
weird
as food is
thing.
concerned.
I know I'm a vegetarian and I love metal. It's the weirdest conundrum ever. What are you gonna do? So
He's always like, "Is that real blood? Is that cow's blood? Because I can't be involved in this."
yeah, well, dude, what are you gonna do? So we're having the situation room right here, and we're getting those questions.
We
so
found the fun, people. It's in Wildstar.
this just in.
open beta.
There's lots of fun in Wildstar.
Over to you, Frost.
Thanks, Donatelli. There we go. Will there be flying mounts in Wildstar? Need pew pew. I'm like Ron Burgundy, dude. I will read everything on
Pew
there.
in there. I thought it was PewDiePie.
Yeah. So
So what ends up happening is, Devs Unleashed, will there be flying mounts in Wildstar? No, not flying mounts. And Jen Bardick just said thank you to me, but don't worry, I've got an even better plan.
oh, good.
She's giving me the eye again.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some interesting stuff in Wildstar moving forward. There's a lot of stuff that hopefully Mike won't ruin, and we'll talk about it at a later point in time post-launch.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting information coming out. But the reason that we didn't do flying mounts was a couple of reasons. But when you're playing an MMO, see how there's like lots of people here and we're having a good time and we're running around, we're seeing folks? That's fun, and that's interesting. And I think flying mounts kind of take away from that. don't you
Relax,
think?
we got a better idea. It's better than flying mounts. It's way cooler. As a matter of fact, lead technical designer and myself had to sit down. You know, we're actually running a little behind schedule. Could you make that meeting? I need to make sure we have that meeting.
Yeah, anyway,
right.
so cool. He's going to make that meeting. What we're going to do right now is we're going to shoot over to Tony Ray, who's live in the situation room, the social situation room, if you will. Tony?
Yo, Tony.
Yes, I am here live in the same room as you.
I love the
Thank
fact
you.
that he's 4 feet away.
Yeah. Let's cut it live
cut
to
away.
Tony.
Can we cut away and show the different rooms that are really absolutely the same room?
There we go.
So apparently this part of the room is the situation room, and that part of the room, just a mere hop, is the studio.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, we've got some awesome
AC.
things going on. One more time, again, for Mike Donatelli, huh? Last
There it
time
is.
ever on
There
a
it is.
live stream. Yay! Yay! Cut his mic.
There we go.
Cut his mic now.
While you're here, Jen, though, let's go through some questions. And there's
Yeah.
one that has been a big one on people's minds.
It
for a while.
has. It has. I've seen a lot of threads about it.
A lot of threads. I've seen videos on this. I've seen
Yep.
comments. I mean, loads of stuff.
Yep.
So let's just get right to it. Will you guys rethink costumes in PvP? Players really want them. This is from Ruby Darkheart.
Well, so I originally decided to disable it because I wanted people to understand who they were fighting against.
Yeah.
But we've had so much feedback that I'm here now saying to you live on TV with approval from people, or the internet, on the internet anyway, that we will be enabling costumes for PvP, but it will be a post-launch thing.
Yeah, there you go.
So it will be coming post-launch, but you guys will get it. When you launch an MMO, there's a lot of things you need to do. And so we wanted to get the important stuff in and make sure we're optimizing stuff. But that will come in. We're going to do it. So there you go. Devs are listening. See?
See?
Live. IRL. Is it possible to raid opposing faction capitals in Wildstar?
So on the PvP realms rule set, you'll be able to do that a little bit easier than you can on PvE. The guards are the ones that kind of dictate this kind of action. So for the PvE rule set, you're going to have stronger guards. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get to it, but you can do it. And then for PvP rule sets, we intend for those guards to be lower level, a little bit easier to kill, to make that happen a little bit easier.
In some MMOs, the PvP gear takes ages to acquire. Will it be somewhat manageable to acquire if your main focus is hardcore raiding?
So I definitely think so for the mid-tier. For the high tier, which requires your high battleground or high arena or high warplot rating, it might be a little bit more difficult. The system that I'm looking for is you're playing through battlegrounds, you're getting your prestige, you're able to spend it on equipment that's level appropriate to you. And then at level 50, you can participate in the rated battlegrounds play. And then through there, get up to a certain gear tier threshold. And then from there, you can either go arenas or warplots to get the high-end PvP gear.
How did you manage to hire such a handsome product director?
Why do I have to answer this one,
You
Frost?
don't have to. That is utterly ridiculous. I can't even believe that just got through the filtering process.
Well, that's because
Well done,
he
guys.
did it himself.
Right. Well, is he actually over there right now? Because that wouldn't surprise me. Cool. Great. So I'm glad that I took my eyes off the PvP for that.
Just for that one,
Just
yeah.
for that one. Artifact weapons were revealed for high-end rating. Are there plans to reward PvP players artifact weapons top-rated teams?
So Joe and I had talked about this kind of stuff.
Joe Pipower, by the
yeah,
way, he's socioeconomically.
He's our lead systems designer back there, manning our Twitter media. Anyway, so we've been talking about it. We're not going to have any for launch, but likely this will show up post-launch, hopefully with season-related rewards.
Okay, fair enough. So Tainted Spud from Twitch wants to know, it's always been a huge turnoff for me when classes are nerfed for the sake of PvP, thereby making me weaker in PvE. What are your plans to balance for PvP should imbalances show up?
So I'm going to speak a little bit for the class lead on this. We've been doing a lot of stuff to make sure that both experiences are sort of balanced between PvE and PvP. We have some things like the Warrior's Taunt actually has an effect in PvP where it decreases damage for the folks around you. We also have things that we're experimenting with. Healing is a good example of this, where we have healing classes being a little too powerful in the PvP dynamic. And in that case, we're just messing with the PvP component. We're trying out systems like in Arena having a incoming healing debuff applied to your characters as you're coming in to massage that PvP experience so it feels fun and enjoyable.
Cool. So the next question, will there be dedicated roleplay servers or RP PvP servers? I know a lot of people want to see them. Or are the servers types in beta all we're going to see?
So as far as I'm aware, we're going to have RP servers, we're going to have RP PvP servers. So you guys will have, like, those two flags are completely independent, so we can have any kind of mix and match what we want. So we are supposed to be having RP PvP.
Okay, very cool. So here's another question from Hugzor, adorable. Do you expect content to become irrelevant through the duration of the game expansion set? As in, when the third raid comes out, do you expect the first two to be done, or do they become obsolete?
We've talked a little bit about this. We want to make sure that it stays fresh through the progression that players experience, but we're talking about something that's going to be coming a long, long time from now. We're focused immediately on the post-launch experience. And I can tell you from like the first schedules that we've been pushing out, we still intend to have that 20-man and 40-man experiences have some part in that.
Sure, certainly. And I think also, something to take into consideration is I think we've done a pretty good job so far to reacting to issues that have plagued other games and trying to update it in ours.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be fair to say that it's something that we will definitely look at. But again, we want to make sure that we launch this game presently, make sure that it's awesome, and get it good before we look crazy into the future. Although we do have a lot of raid stuff planned, so don't you worry, we'll take care of it. How soon after launch will you be able to start the raids? Will they be gated?
So yes, they'll be gated. You're going to have an attunement process you'll be able to go through. As to how soon after launch will people be able to go through the attunement, it might take a while for you to do.
Sorry, I was just blinded by the fact that we won again. So. Yes.
So what do you think, Frost? You made a bet with people on Twitter.
I did. And so I'm going to look like a real asshole if I'm wrong on this. And that's okay, because I'm kind of an asshole. But I'm willing to wager that there will not be a guild out there that can get to the level 40 raid and be fully geared up with all the stuff that raid drops by the end of month 1. I don't think it's happening. So go ahead and try to prove me wrong. You can download the game. There's some badass guilds out there. Why don't you get in the game and try it out? And you know what? If I'm wrong, again, look like a giant a-hole. If you guys win, you get to play a rad game. So win-win. We always say the reason we didn't do LFR or the looking for raid was because our raids,
they're hard.
They're hard. Pugging that is not a good idea. And we also want to encourage people to kind of get together and figure stuff out through a community. Playing this game in a guild is going to be a way better experience for you than just playing it by yourself. And again, playing with people that you know and like, and getting to know people that, how many stories have you heard of people, meeting significant others on here, or, just being friends and hanging out that way? That's definitely something that we want to look for when we're making a game, So,
sure.
Arenas are what?
So arenas are our answer to small team competitive play. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have practice arenas available at level 30. Those are your casual experience, get used to the environment. At level 50, you'll need to make a formal team in order to compete in our rated arena system. Again, we have 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 team sizes. We have a season that will start at launch to track your ratings. At the end of the season, we're going to award the top 0.05% or something like that, their rewards for that season. There's no weekly point cap or anything to achieve. There's no point limit or anything like that. It's basically an ELO rating system for you to kind of measure yourself against your opponents. And it is cross-realm, so you're going to be measuring against a fairly big pool.
Cool. So somebody asked earlier, are we going to have PvP maps later? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, if I want to scoop a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So for our second drop, and hopefully our second month, if all things go according to plan anyway,
yes.
We're going to have a 15v15 battleground called Daggerstone Pass. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We're just going through our internal testing right now. I will briefly describe it as you are out to destroy the other team's base using bombs. So you're carrying bombs in, and hopefully it doesn't explode on you when you turn it over.
Yeah.
And then we also have a second arena map coming out later on, and then we're going to be working on Battleground number 4 after that.
We know everybody loves hoverboards, right? And we have a new type of hoverboard that people are going to be able to get. It's the Strain hoverboard.
Yeah, you can see it up there on screen.
It's got a weird chomping maw at the front. Yeah, I think this is our first organic hoverboard.
Biomechanical, weird mix of things. It's disgusting and awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, the hoverboard has 4 pieces that you can customize. Is that right?
Right. You could customize the front, the back, and the sides. Actually, on the hoverboards, you can't put different side things. We wanted to balance out the board so you don't fall over.
Oh, good call.
But I believe with the regular mount, you can put different things on the sides.
Right. So that's freaking awesome. Let's also go back into the game here, and we're going to check out another player house. This one is pretty sweet as well. It's got a freaking skate park in it. This is, you may have seen this. I actually tweeted this out about a week ago because this is freaking awesome. They basically made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but in Wildstar. There's like little tabletops. There's a half pipe.
I don't even know what assets they used for this.
I think, was it like the tables or something, or I don't.
I don't know what they did or how they built it, but man, this is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I guess it's just floors.
Just floor.
It's freaking great.
I guess.
I
Wow.
mean, so
Amazing.
you got lots of stuff, and if you look up more, there's a ramp to get up at the top there, and you know we have a lot of stuff that's very physics based. I don't even know if you noticed. There's other people here that are hoverboarding as well. So this stuff, I mean, oh dude, nice. So you can kind of platform your way up to these things and do ramps and launch off of stuff.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Like the creativity of all of these different players. I mean, and the most amazing thing is this is just a small snapshot of say 6 or 7 or 8 on one of the servers. It's astounding. It really is.
Right. So let me ask you this: can you pull a 360 right now? Dude, no pressure.
Oh, 1 second. Let me get my sprint back.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Dude, you gotta charge it up going left and right.
Oh, death.
That's all right.
Oh, that was bad. That
No,
was really
yeah.
bad.
I put you on the spot.
Alright.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to test your skate ability. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, so I mean, but you can do stuff like this, and I can't wait to see the videos of people making stuff with skate park videos. It's gonna be great. Wait, no, turn around. We gotta look at this.
Yeah.
Is that radioactive pee that I see in there? I don't even know what's going on.
You know what? I gotta applaud them because there actually is a toilet prop that you can.
And they made
yeah,
their own.
yeah, and they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
made their own.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously didn't like our toilet, you know.
Well,
and
maybe
you can see the toilet roll that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
You know?
maybe it was a little too clean and they wanted something which was a little more
That's
trashy.
That's true.
Yeah. No. Well done.
No bidets
It's
and
disgusting.
Wildstar.
Yeah, that's awful but amazing.
Yeah. Good job.
These stairs are actually one of the things that were just added for open beta. So some houses you can see have really nice clean stairs.
Yeah.
So you can see just one version of things that we've added as we've gone along.
Yeah, and again, that's reacting to players and seeing what they're doing or what they're saying or screaming about. You know, we listen to you guys either way. So while we load, whoa, what just happened? Whoa,
The heck?
that was crazy,
I
I think you're being stalked by a stinger.
dude.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go to another house.
Yeah,
Wow.
good,
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
Look, look, if you're gonna be visiting strangers' houses,
Yeah,
you gotta be on guard. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was crazy. Get in and play the game right now, though. If you've been wondering what it's about, just get in, wildstar-online.com. Look more into it.
Let me tell you what else you get, okay? Lore. You get lots of
Wow.
it. You're going to love it, okay? We're going to talk a lot about it today. Lore, man.
Yeah.
That's what's for dinner.
So we've got a good hour with Chad Moore. So we're going to talk about lore, and what you're seeing is the starting experience for the Exile. So why don't you give a backdrop while people are watching this?
So when you start as an exile, really either faction, right? You start out on what we call our arc ships, and these are these massive spaceships that that both of our factions are loading up all of their people into and making sort of the perilous journey across the stars to Nexus. So as an exile, the story about this arc ship, which is called the Gambler's Ruin, is that it has been sort of running around the galaxy for the past few hundred years, and you know, they've been on the run from the Dominion. There's a lot of lore about, you know, all of the exile races and how they've been kicked off their homeworlds by the Dominion. And so they've been in this ship that's a few hundred years old, and it's getting sort of on its last legs. Things are breaking down. And so the game starts out here with this sequence where you get woken up in these old cryo tubes that are barely working, and that's sort of where your adventure begins.
So yeah, what we're seeing right now, we're being de-thawed effectively from deep space sleep. Ugh. And this journey is a pretty long one. Like, how far would you say that it is to get to Nexus from, say, Nox?
So we've never talked specifically about how long it takes, but we are going to get into a little more detail about that as we get closer here to launch. But it's definitely longer than a few days, right? Like, it takes long enough that you actually have to go into a cryo tube. You know, there's a very few people that actually make the trip that aren't in cryo, but most people actually have to be in cryo because the trip takes so long.
What inspired you to make the Mordish?
So that is a great question, by the way. Okay, so for those of you that have been kind of following, you know, us as we've talked about our factions, both of our factions kind of have what we would consider their dirty little secrets, right? On the Dominion side, it's the Chua, these sort of psychopathic little gadgeteers that doesn't really fit what the Dominion are like. And on the Exile side, we have the Mordish. And when we were developing the lore for the Mordish, we kind of wanted the Exiles to have a little darker side, right? I mean, you've got the Orin, they're obviously bubbly and kind of on the lighter side of things. You've got the Granok, sort of hard-charging, beer-drinking mercenaries. But the Mordish, we wanted to have a little bit more of an edge. And so we said, what's edgier than some space zombies, right? Space zombies are cool. And so we kind of came up with their backstory. This guy, Victor Lazarin, who Frost was just talking to a couple minutes ago, he created this elixir called the Everlife Elixir, which he thought would grant the Mordish eternal life. Instead, it cursed them with eternal death or undeath, right?
Super metal.
And so anyway, that sort of became the basis for the Mordish that you see today. Obviously, I can't say it enough. Our artists are just the most talented artists in the industry, and I think that they took that and they made a really, really unique representation of that, which is the Mordish that you're seeing there on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. So this is a Twitch question from Cupcake Face Cake. Will there be lore available about the different races' home planets, etc., so we can know more about where they came from?
So the answer to your question is yes. Okay. One of the things that you're going to be able to collect as you're going through Wildstar are what we call the galactic archives, right? So, as you're playing through, you're killing creatures, you're talking to NPCs, you're doing quests in our zones against some of our, epic world groups like the Osen or the Falkren. As you complete missions and do quests in our game, you begin to fill out what we call the galactic archives, which is sort of our version of Wikipedia. And that's going to give you all of the information that you'd ever want to know about the Draken, let's say, or the Mordish. And there's going to be unlocks, so like you'll get the initial article in the archive, maybe the first time that you do something for a Mordish, but as the game goes on, you will actually be able to find out more about their homeworld, find out more about what cursed them with this disease called the contagion. And so, what we really wanted in the game was a way to really dig into the lore itself. Like, we didn't want you to have to go to, a wiki somewhere online. Like, we wanted our own wiki in the game that you could access anytime to learn about it, and that's really what you're going to be able to do with the Galactic Archives.
Yeah, very cool stuff. So this is from Nimiar from Twitch. Are there any sort of flashback experiences where you can learn about the original split between the Exile and the Dominion?
So we do have lore that is specifically about the past. Now, we don't necessarily have those game, right? Although we do have that as you get to some of the later zones and you actually dig a little bit more into what we call the world story, which is what we'll talk about a little bit later. But we have this other thing in the game which is called Tales from Beyond the Fringe, right? And so one of the things that you'll collect are these different pieces of volumes of Tales from Beyond the Fringe. And those actually tell stories about iconic characters or about historical events that took place for our factions in the past. So if you're interested about learning, like, let's say, what led to the Draken being part of the Dominion, there is a Tales from Beyond the Fringe which will tell that story, right? And so those are things that we release now. Each one of those tales actually has a custom cover, which are really these sort of pulpy covers that our artists drew, and they're really, really awesome. So not only are you getting some cool lore and story, but with each one of those, you actually get a cool piece of art. And what's really awesome is that those are actually housing decor items. So if you're the kind of person that has a house and you want to make your house look, lore-alicious, you know what I'm saying, brother?
Don't say that.
You can actually collect those covers and put them all over your house. It's pretty sweet. Hey, do you want to hear some interesting lore about the stealth suit?
Let's hear it, man.
So, the stealth technology is actually based on nanotech that was given to the races by the Elden a long time ago. So, this whole PvP thing is really cool, But let's just be honest, none of it actually even exists unless there's lore.
Okay, is that how that goes?
Oh, you know what? Let me tell you another story.
Oh, great.
So,
Yeah, let's
you know how those of you that are playing PvP right now in the open beta, you know that we're in open beta, right?
Yeah, I've heard.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Those of you that are playing PvP in open beta play on a server that's called Pergo, okay?
Okay.
There's going to be another PvP server opening up. I've just heard from our Director of Operations, Craig Turner.
Oh, all right.
Which is
Cool.
called Pago, okay?
Okay.
Do you want to know why those two names are important?
I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, the reason why is because they are the two moons of Bezgalore, okay? Which is the Chua homeworld, okay? So, again,
Dropping that knowledge.
in case I'm not being clear, okay? PvP does not exist unless lore comes first.
All right.
Okay, you heard it here first.
There we go. All right. It's great. I can't tell you how hellish this is for me. All I want to do is murder people and play dungeons. And instead I have to hear the back.
Oh, dude, no.
Bezgalore.
Look, do you see this here? This is like a loregasm. Okay?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Right here. Check this out. We have a data cube.
Get away
This is
from
the
me.
relic room on the Exile Arc ship, okay?
God. Yeah.
Frost is also a scientist. Way to go, Frost. Mordesh is a scientist.
Yeah,
okay?
he is. Look at him.
You're scanning, you just scanned a portrait of Abra Darkos, okay?
I did.
There is so much lore right here. Literally, per square inch, this could be the most lore that we have in the entire game.
Oh, man. This is so great. Yay. Hey, Pappy, what's the lore behind Chua being on Nexus? They're not only males.
They're not, but I think we can talk a little bit about Chua and gender, right? So, when we made the Chua, we wanted to have a race where the gender was sort of undetermined, right? Because you know, it's a sci-fi universe, and so you know, why not have a race where you're not exactly sure are they male or are they female? And so. What has sort of happened with that now, right, is you know when you choose to be a Chua, you don't really pick male or female. You can pick certain qualities that sort of that sort of look one way or the other. There has been a little bit of question in the game because oftentimes we will use male pronouns if we're talking about Chua. We didn't really want to call them it, and so we just sort of default to the male pronoun. But just to be clear, there is a massive mystery about the gender of the Chua. Nobody actually knows about the Chua's gender, nor do they know how they reproduce. It is going to be a secret that someday we will reveal, and we're not going to do it now.
Okay, weird. So, if the Makari were made by the Elden, how are more Makari made?
So, this is a question that we get a lot. I believe there is a galactic archive that is specifically about this, so this isn't really a spoiler. You can find out about this in the game, but there is on Cassis a very secret facility that's called the Foundry. And in the Foundry, which is run by Makari, okay, and which no other races have ever seen the inside of, that is where new Makari, who are not millennials, and I'll talk about that in a second, new Makari are made at the Foundry on Cassis. You want me to tell you about the millennials?
Oh, tell me about the millennials.
Okay,
Chad.
so the millennials, okay, this is awesome, okay? The millennials are Makari that were around at the time that the Elden first approached the Cassians and said, hey, we're going to help you guys become the greatest empire that the world or the galaxy has ever seen. So any one of the Makari, and there's not many of them, but any of the Makari who were there at that time and who have been with the Dominion ever since are known as millennials. Axis Phaedra, okay?
Okay, she's a
one
millennial.
of the very first NPCs that you meet after you get off the Ark ship. If you're playing the Dominion side, she's a millennial.
Okay.
Did you get that though?
Oh yeah, millennials.
Millennial, bro.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
You know, I know that, you know, people give the lore hounds a tough time. I really do think there's lots more of them out there. There's a lot of closet lore hounds out there. For you closet lore hounds, okay, we're going to have more lore in this game than you've ever seen in any other game, I guarantee it.
Whoa.
Okay?
You want some lore, man? I'll ram it down your face. Like that.
Can Granok die from old age? If so, how long exactly can they live?
So, I'm gonna get in some specifics here. Okay, you ready?
Can't wait.
You know Durik Stonebreaker, we saw him just a couple minutes ago, right?
Yeah, that bro. Yeah.
Durik Stonebreaker was a hero of the War of Nox, okay?
All right.
That was a war that happened about 400 years ago where the Dominion tried to show up on the Granic homeworld, take it over, and it didn't happen. They got their butts kicked by the Granic, okay? So Durik was alive and well during that war. 400 years later, is still alive. Obviously, they live a long time.
Yeah,
okay?
I'd say so.
We never say specifically about how long they live, but I would say in the 800 or 900 year range would be like an old man grandma.
Okay, all right.
You
fair
feeling
enough.
me?
Yeah, I feel you. All right, so here's another question. This is from Michael McKill3. How do you balance funny, goofy stuff without breaking the lore? That's a good question.
It is really good. Okay, so, and I think this ties in a lot to the story trailer that we just released, right? Which, by the way, awesome.
Great,
Okay?
yeah.
Even you like that story trailer.
I even liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
So, so I think there's a lot of people that, you know, we got a lot of feedback about that saying like, finally, you know, like you guys are showing that you actually do have a serious story that, you know, and the fact of the matter is Wildstar has a pretty serious and epic story. Just because our characters have a lot of personality and, you know, our devs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean at all that the stories that we tell in Wildstar are not serious or epic, right? You know, I think it's the combination of having memorable characters with big personalities. Sometimes they're funny. And then also slotting those characters into, you know, big sort of space opera sweeping kind of epic stories on Wildstar. It's the combination of those two things that makes our game unique, and I think it's gonna, you know, it's gonna have people playing it for a long time because it's something kind of new and fresh, I think, in the space.
Well,
and it's,
and
you know.
I think without, you know, the kind of scary stuff or dark stuff or things like that, you know, humor by itself too much, you're not going to be taken too seriously. But, you know, you have to have that dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
You know, both of those things in there to make it seem that much more gut-wrenching when somebody you really like dies or
Right.
you know, something like that.
You know, I think too, like, we hear this a lot, but when you give characters, you know, a little bit of humor and they have a personality, they become more relatable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is like, all of us are quirky and funny in some ways, right? And so, like, when you make your characters that way, they are a little more realistic and relatable, I think. And so, again, right, it's the balance between those two that I think make Wildstar unique.
So we're going to ask, this is the final question we got, all right?
All right.
What happened to the ancient people? Meaning the Elden.
Okay. So, the ancient people.
The ancient people.
That's the whole story of the game, man. Okay, like, this is the thing. That's the perfect question. to
You
end
just
this
made
whole
him
thing,
mad,
right?
dude.
What I'm telling you is this. You want to find out the answer to that question,
Play an open beta.
open beta.
Yeah, there it is.
Get down there,
Drop
find
it like
some data cubes, collect some lore, okay? Like, it is going to be the most epic story you've ever experienced in your entire life, okay?
Entire life.
Anyway.